Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Football Friday. It is noon here in the Eastern Time, here in the East Coast. I hope everyone's doing well in your part of town. It's a wonderful day for Football Friday. Notice everyone has their favorite colors to go to. I mean, I see a lot of it on your platforms here: Kansas City, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, San Fran, Green Bay, and Detroit, just to name a few of them. Uh, I see it all the time. You guys have good stuff. So I just want to say happy Football Friday. Week 2 started last night. Going to get down to that a little bit. Also talk some UFC. Big women's trilogy there coming up tomorrow night between Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shvenko. So I'm going to touch on that at the end of the show. But I'm going to go ahead and get started here with, of course, last night's game between Buffalo and Miami. For all you fantasy owners who have James Cook and Devontae Ackchain, I can't pronounce the game right. Fantasy owners, if you have on your teams, congratulations. You guys made out real well. Of course, story, of course, was marred by the unfortunate injury to Tua Tagovailoa with another concussion of his. I'm going to touch on that here in a little bit. I'm going to touch on the game to begin with. I said all along when it comes to the Miami Dolphins, and I have a lot of Dolphins, fans and followers here, and because I always have a place in my heart for the great Dan Marino. But I said for this game last night, if people want to take you seriously, it's a game you had to win because you were 1-11. Now he was 1-10 going into last night against teams with winning records, and your one win was against Dallas at the end of last season, which everybody beats Dallas in December and January, so no one is going to make a big deal out of that. But last night, sorry to say it, but Miami laid an egg. Before the Tua injury, he didn't play all that great either. He had 3 interceptions, 2 of them, which I don't know what in the world he was doing, especially the pick 6 where he was about to go down and just decided to throw it up there for I don't know what reason. And for a Buffalo, very efficient and solid game by Josh Allen, but he didn't have to do much because the game was dictated by James Cook and that Buffalo defense would just shut down the entire Miami offense after like midway through the second quarter on. It was a very good win for Buffalo. I just found it appalling going into the season how a lot of people were on the bandwagons of both Miami and the Jets, and how Buffalo just got grotesquely overlooked when it came to winning the AFC East. They were my pick this year because they're the proven commodity of the 4 because there's a lot of turnover on that roster. But kudos to Buffalo for a heck of a win last night. Again, Josh Allen didn't have to do much, but shout out to James Cook, 92 total yards and 3 total touchdowns in the first half. I mean, he basically took over the game, won it by himself, just took a lot of pressure off of Josh Allen and that Buffalo offense where they didn't really have to do much. So good win last night for Buffalo, sort of bad loss for Miami for many reasons I'll get into. But as I said, the issue there is they were 1-11 against teams with winning records over the last 2 seasons under Mike McDaniel. I mean, I like Mike McDaniel as an offensive mind at times, but at some point he needs to be held accountable for that because if you're going to be taken seriously, you need to start winning games against playoff caliber teams. I mean, there's no excuse to be 1-11 in that 2-year period. But of course, the storyline of the night last night, of course, was the unfortunate injury, the concussion to, quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Of course, he just signed a lucrative contract in the offseason. Was debatable. The play, I believe he's going head first to try and get a first down where he got hit on by DeMar Hamlin. And, he was motionless for a while. Now, I believe he got up under his own power, and of course, maybe the best image was, of course, Mike McDaniel consoling him and kissing him on the head and basically just, tell him everything's going to be all right, which, there's, of course, a lot of sparks all over the place, a lot of wannabe doctors out there saying that he should retire or he should do whatever, he wants. It's like his 3rd concussion in the last 2 years because I was at the game here in Cincinnati a couple of years ago when his head hit the ground on midfield and his fingers were all crossed up almost like this just about. And people thought his career was over, but he came back later that year, had another concussion, actually stayed healthy and had a solid year last year in 23. So, I mean, I'm sure he's going to make the decision that's right for him. I mean, Mike McDaniel came out earlier this morning and basically said, we have a football game to worry about. We're going to let Tua's health, run its natural course. Of course, he's not going to play week 3. They're going to go to Skylar Thompson, rightfully and understandably so. But I think I think a lot of people just need to pause for just a minute when it comes to him and his career. There's a lot of people making knee-jerk reactions when you talk about the history of concussions in the NFL, rightfully and understandably so. I'm just going to take a wait-and-see approach, just simply because I don't know what's going to come of this. He's bounced back before. I will give him his due. But I do understand the part where a lot of the fans out here in the football world, especially not just the Miami ones, but ones in other teams, trying to basically say he needs to look out for his long-term health. Thoroughly correct and thoroughly understood. But he's going to make the decision that's the best interest for him and his family. And if he feels like it's time for him to hang it up, he probably will. If he feels like he wants to play on, you got to just basically wish him good luck. Just hope that nothing worse comes out of this, because you know how concussions can be. So that takes care of last night's game. Of course, the Sunday games and the Monday game of coming up this weekend. Of course, college football Saturday. Nothing. I haven't seen the schedule. Nothing that opens my eye for the college rounds yet, because I don't zone in until we start to get to the college playoff rounds. Onto another topic. I woke up overnight and I saw one of the most ridiculous things that, once again, people in my neck of the woods want to put their name out there just for attention-seeking purposes, for one of the most wild things I've ever heard. I don't know who's guilty of this, but I'm going to go ahead and call it out. I don't know who the moron is that decided to send to an ESPN columnist named Ben Baby. Who the hell names their child Ben Baby? I guess there's a lot of fandom out here, not just maybe here in Cincinnati, but I think some other parts too, from what I read, trying to accuse Tee Higgins of faking a hamstring injury. And I guess this was brought up to Tee Higgins, and he had to feel like he had to address it. I don't know who the moron is that sent this out, because I don't think a guy as low credible as Ben Baby is, because he's not a credible guy given who he works for. I don't think he would just walk up to Tee Higgins and just confront him out of nowhere. Somebody, one of your moronic content creators or super fans in Cincinnati, must have sent him the screenshots and the email to try and confront Tee Higgins and try and get some sort of response, because the news wave all week long is about, can Cincinnati hang around with Kansas City? Either, I don't know if you guys are pulling a smoke screen or what, but here I am for the third straight day trying to figure out what in the hell is going on around here. Because we have some moronic content creators. Now they have some space going on talking about it on X Spaces or whatever the hell it's called. Talking about this stuff. Do you guys not forget Tee Higgins had at least been on the injury report since he came in the league at least a half dozen times for hamstring problems? And it seemed like this moron, whoever this moron is that sent this info to Ben Baby, never had a hamstring injury in his life. I've had to deal with sore hamstrings myself, and I can speak for experience. Those things are a little tricky to handle with. I mean, they're not sore, but they're just one of those annoying in the legs, that where you can't you're not going to be able to walk right, or basically you have to just do something to stay active. If you're too inactive, those things can tighten up, but you don't want to be too active because they're still not 100%. Because I've done in my high school years when I tried out for football, basketball, track, even briefly in boxing. Sometimes those things are just real sore and annoying. I don't know who the hell would come up with such wild thing to send to ESPN, trying to say accuse Tee Higgins of faking a hamstring injury when he's had this problem basically his whole career. I mean, he was on the IR report 3 times last year. He popped up on the injury report just before week 1, and those hamstring injuries usually take about 3 to 4 weeks to fully heal. A lot of people are trying to say it has to do with the fact the guy was on a franchise tag, because of course, this is one of these same morons is more than likely one of the ones who 3 years ago tried to bust out another false rumor over here that Tee Higgins signed an extension that never happened. That was debunked in 5 minutes. I'm sorry, you're not going to entertain me with any of this false narrative. I don't know who has a personal agenda over here with this, but it was just one of the most lame things I've ever encountered. And I've been around a lot of sports communities, and I've seen a lot of lame things. This one might just tip the hat, because Tee Higgins is trying to play for a contract, trying to show himself in the, not just for here, which I don't think he's coming back, through the entire NFL to try to get a multi-year stabilized contract. He'd rather be on the field trying to show himself, prove himself to the world, who after a down year last year, basically because he wasn't healthy. So I'm sitting here listening to all of this, and I'm reading this article myself and saying to myself, what in the hell is going on here? I mean, this happened in the middle of the night. That ESPN decided to this. Ben Baby posted this article on the ESPN website with this weird accusation. I mean, come on, people. 90% of you guys, 90% of these guys here in Cincinnati don't even know what the hell a hamstring injury is. Somebody had to send something. I'm not going to be fooled. I know Ben Baby is not a credible person for ESPN. I never liked the guy. He never liked me either. But I don't think Ben Baby would go to this type of resort unless somebody in the content creating field here in Cincinnati busted it out to him. If anybody has a problem with someone being injured, why don't you just take up get the hell out of this profession and take something up, get a real hobby or something. My goodness, there's a lot of growing up that needs to be done here. So I'm just going to cut that out, because I'm not going to give this thing any time of day for anything. Largely because it's just lame and stupid to make this kind of a false accusation. I mean, if Tee Higgins is going to play, he's going to be out there. You guys are probably trying to save faces what's about to happen Sunday, because I said all along, as much as I like to see you guys pull it out in Kansas, it's not happening. Cam Taylor-Britt and Jamar Chase need to shut up, because they're about to about to be ramrodded, because Xavier Worthy and Rashid Rice are going to own Cam Taylor-Britt like the useless bastard that he is. And Jamar Chase has a mouth bigger than his ass, and he needs to be put on super glued and duct tape for about a week. Good luck Sunday, Cincinnati. I'll end it right there. On the subject of Kansas City, because I have a lot of cool Chiefs followers, I feel for you for the news that just broke about Hollywood Brown. I thought the guy was going to be a hand and glove fit for you guys with Rice and Worthy as a very sound three receiver set with the tight ends Kelsey and Noah Gray. Sort of hate to hear the news that he's going to probably be out for a while with a surgery with some kind of a SC joint. Maybe somebody can educate me about this a little bit. But, maybe it sort of sucks, but I think that explains why they signed Juju Smith-Schuster just before the season started. He knows the KC system real well. He'd be a good third or fourth option, maybe a good short-term fit should Hollywood Brown not miss much action. Some people are talking like this is going to be a while, but I hope for Kansas' sake it's not, because I like to see full teams fully healthy and see him on a full go. Because I thought Brown was a hell of a steal with a heck of a contract to go alongside Rice and Worthy. Now they're gonna be just fine, I think, because they're still the team that beat in the AFC at least, maybe in the entire NFL. So maybe at least the team of AFC, they're going to be the team to beat still. And until they're officially knocked off, you're going to have a hard time convincing me that they're not the team to beat. So I just want to go ahead and get that out of the way. Now done with the NFL aspect. To touch up on a UFC fight that's coming up this weekend. I don't talk UFC much because a lot of people do the talking for me. But I'm intrigued by an undercard fight that's taking place on the UFC 306 card tomorrow night. This is between Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko, a third meeting. I remember watching the first fight. It was a heck of a fight between these two ladies. And out of nowhere, Grasso got the rear naked chokehold on Shevchenko and won the UFC flyweight title, becoming the first, UFC women's not the women's flyweight champ, but the firstborn Mexican woman to win a UFC championship. Much kudos to her. She won on UFC 285. Now there was an immediate rematch. I think it was 6 months later. I got a chance to watch the rematch this morning because there was a lot of hub both ways as to who won that second fight. Judging from what I saw, I thought maybe it was slowly eked out by Grasso, because the numbers sort of bear it out. After I watched, I got a chance to pull this up. We talk about significant strikes, which is a sort of a bigger deal to UFC than maybe something like boxing. It was an 84-80 edge in significant strikes for Grasso, and she basically had the overall strikes edge on her, 262 to 199. but it was still a very, very competitive fight between these two ladies in the octagon. Fight was ruled a draw, but the controversy here was how one judge scored an even round in the last round of this fight, given that the fight was very, very close. Gave the last round to Grasso. I thought Grasso won the 5th round big, but I don't think it was a 10-8 round. The difference was maybe that the 4th round of that fight, which could have gone either way. From everything that I saw and I watched in the second replay this morning, I thought Grasso eked it out. So I think, again, it was ruled a draw. It was a split draw. One judge had it for Shevchenko, one had it for Grasso. And the third one was, of course, had the fight even, of course, due to the fact that the judge had a 10-8 5th round, which I didn't think it was a 2-point round. Grasso won the 5th round big, but I don't think it was that big. So, of course, it leads to tonight's third trilogy. I've always said in trilogies, and I say this when I cover boxing, and I'm of course here also, that when you get trilogies like that, you get two individuals who are basically made for each other. I mean, the styles are with these two ladies are perfect foils. One's orthodox, one style. One's, of course, a straight striker. The other one, I think, came from some kind of what do they call that? A Muay Thai background, if I could pronounce that correctly. So I think the third fight's going to be very, very competitive. I think this is, of course, going to put the end to this trilogy. I'm leaning toward I'm leaning toward Grasso because I think she of course won the first fight with the submission hold, and I thought she controlled the second fight. Although I think Shevchenko had a lot of her moments. It was a terrific back and forth fight. I think this time Grasso's going to win this rather with an exclamation point. Probably get her same kind of submission hold, probably in about the 3rd or 4th rounds. I like Shevchenko a lot. She's a tough female fighter in that division, but I just she's sort of getting up there a little bit now. Grasso is not no real spring chicken herself, but at the same time, I'm going to probably lean the nod toward Grasso, and I think it will be a very competitive third fight. I think both women are going to give it their all. It's probably going to be the fight of the night on an awe-inspiring card, because lately Dana White's put together some real garbage UFC cards. He used to put the good ones all the time. I mean, back in the day, I remember when the light heavyweight division in the UFC had guys like, Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, Sugar Rashad Evans, Rampage Jackson. He used to have fights with them and had good top to bottom cards. When you had, of course, guys like Spider Silva and George St. Pierre. But this third fight is the only one it's probably the most intriguing one. Of course, the main event is that character Sean O'Malley, who's just a character. I'm not going to give him his 5 minutes of glory. He's going to fight some guy named Mirab. I can't pronounce a guy's last name. Just from some country. I think it's Denmark, if I'm correct. So I think the character O'Malley should win that one. So just I'm going to watch that tomorrow night. Of course, a lot of the hub of the boxing community is the fight card tomorrow night, which I'm not going to give any predictions. I think that the winners are pretty clear and obvious. But as I said the other day, none of these fights tomorrow night has any business going past 6 rounds. Any fight that goes past 6 rounds, you better have a legit excuse as to why, because every fight is a grotesque mismatch that involves a fight that has no business taking place. That's why I'm not involving myself in it this weekend. I'm just going to look forward to the next weekend's fight card involving Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois, which I'll be chatting up with a bunch of you guys here over the weekend. So I look forward to talking to you guys then. And one last thing on a quick side note, because this just came to me, earlier. I just want to just touch on this a little bit because I don't like to put this stuff out here. Apparently, there's we have a couple people over here in the boxing community, and this is why I left this 5 years ago, because I went on a rant not too long ago about I do this a lot about people involved in this content creating thing, because I've just started to make my mark. I'm in this because I enjoy doing this. I'm not in this thing for monetary gain. I'm not in this to sucker people in. But I'll just say that one time, and I'll close a book on this. I'm not going to talk about this again because I'm starting to get up to here with it. I'm in this because I enjoy it. I've been invited to very numerous shows, sports-related shows, NFL, boxing, MMA, and I enjoy it. I'm not in this for monetary gain, but one thing I will not do is I will not, and I said this to the Bengals community, I said it to the boxing community, and I'll say this again. I will not partake in clickbait. I will not partake in anything that's going to supersede your personal and financial gain just simply because you guys are in this for all the wrong reasons. A lot of you guys have done this. I've tried to study it. I'm now starting to get, I'm treading water with this, and I enjoy this. I love each and every single one of you to the moon and back. God knows. I love you guys. The ones I deal with, I love you all to the moon and back. I can't stress it enough. I learned how to come to you guys and thank you guys for being a part of this. I learned how to thank everyone. But I'm going to politely ask again, if you're going to drag me into anything that I feel it's going to be some kind of a monetary or some kind of game that's going to stir up engagement forming, I'm going to politely ask to keep me out of it because I am going to focus on my stuff. I have a lot of good things going on right now because this is probably the last show I'm going to have for about a week because I go back to my line of work this weekend. And I just want to just touch base on that a little bit. You know, it's been, I'm looking forward to a lot of the footballs and UFC this weekend. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. Let me recollaborate. You know, I'm not going crazy over views. I see there's a high number of views, probably the highest I've had so far. So I just want to give everybody a shout out. You know what I find interesting in this live streaming thing is you can engage. When you engage, you can see your real facial opinions. You can set your tone of voice instead of typing 5,000 words. You know, I see you guys and I see how some of you guys are. A lot of you guys I very, very much enjoy. And I've learned how to enjoy myself doing this also. Sometimes I don't mind just giving a real voice because sometimes when people type things, they don't take sarcasm too well. And I think just because I'm able to do this now, I'm able to put out my real voice, my real facial images. Of course, a lot of people still think I'm some sort of a bot or a fake account on these platforms. I don't know why, because I've been on these shows about about a few months now. So I just want to get that out of the way. I don't like talking about that stuff, but sometimes when things barrel down on you like that, and people try to suck you into stuff, you have to make an announcement of something to that content. Which, you know, going to close it on one other issue. I just wanted to bring this up because this was brought up to me by a Steeler fan earlier today, and I'm going to go ahead and mention it because we talk about, you know, once again, the lack of accountability that's going on around, you know, around the content creators and sports world regarding certain players and certain athletes. I don't pull any punches when it comes to criticisms. You know, I see it here in Cincinnati when it comes to their $275 million quarterback. You know, he gets excused every single chance he gets, you know, from the top down. You know, you can be a fan. You can be a fan and be what we call critique your favorite athletes constructively. I do that a lot. A lot of people don't. A lot of people in my own community that has a problem with it. But I can be a fan. But I'm also in this. You know, I give praise. I can construct. I don't do this thing called hate, because if you're because I know what hating is, and I've seen it. I'll never do that, because we have people here who think, you know, because, you know, they're not talked about enough, or they're being, probably the better word to use, criticized for poor play, mediocre play. It's hating. It's not. It's called constructive criticism or constructive feedback. Because think about this, and I'm going to put a life experience out here, because I promoted to a position like this not too long ago. You're performing bad, and it comes out. What are you going to do? Pat you in the back, still say good job? No, they're going to tell you, you know, where your errors are and what you can do to fix them. So that's how I'm gonna be from this point forward, and that's how I've always been. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm a little all over the place now, but forgive me, because I admit I suck sometimes. But at the same time, please, you're more welcome to criticize your players, you know, your favorite players, your favorite athletes, your favorite teams, your any walk of life. You know, just remember one thing: you're not hating, because It's okay. It's okay to do this. I mean, you want to demand the best out of everybody and everything in life. You do. I'm the same way. I've been on both ends of it. I've been the one that's delivered the constructive feedback, and I've been the one that's been receiving of it. I use it as a learning tool. That's all it is. It's not hating. It's not, whatever the heck people want to use. I see it here in Cincinnati with all of this. I see it in all the platforms I'm in. NFL, NBA, boxing, UFC, even some baseball. A lot of people need to just tone their hate levels down about 5 notches, or also turn their sensitivity level about 20 notches, because sometimes it gets a little annoying. I'm just in this. It's a fun thing for me. It gives me something different to do. Instead of being one of these guys that eats, sleeps, and works all day. I love interacting with people day in and day out. And I've always said, if you want me to interact with you, go ahead and have at it. Shoot me the requests. I've just said all along, if I see something that I don't like, I will walk away from it. This is how I am, and that's how I've always rolled. And I look forward to chatting up next week here with the week 2 recap as we go into week 3. Probably get back to the boxing a little bit, because the boxing schedule has been very, very light over the last few weeks. I mean, the only thing I can remember is, reflecting back on Julio Cesar Chavez and Hector Camacho, which was just a gross mismatch, but it's not worth talking about. I try to put value into what I do, try to keep things more constructed and construed to where, I'm not streaming, just look like a babbling idiot, because there's a lot of this going on. A lot of things have gone well. A lot of things haven't gone well. In recent, but that's a way of life. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this over here. Got a chance to scroll a couple things here. Nothing here. Nothing here. Good. So I'm going to wrap this up for the week. I look forward to chatting with every single one of you down the line. I look forward to interacting with you. You always catch me on my platforms, X, my YouTube channel. I have an Instagram account now, and I have a Facebook account. You're more than welcome to friend me on it. If you can find me, I will go ahead and interact with you there. I love interacting. I love interacting with people. I love interacting with sports. That's been my trait, and I look forward to talking with you guys more soon. I'm not just a local guy about Cincinnati sports. I'm all about all kinds of sports too. If you guys follow me on the platforms, I am. So at this point, I have some food to eat, so I'm going to go ahead and take care. Got to fill my stomach up. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here for this show. Again, much love to everybody out there. Shout out to all my followers out there. I love all y'all to the moon and back. Take care of yourselves. Good night. Take care, and God bless.